Welcome everybody to the Stoke Your Creative Fire Summit. We're so excited today. We're going to have our dear friend, Cristi Christensen, who has turned her own angst into art in her own very amazing creative way. So we're going to do our thing. You ready, Joy?
Here we go.
Here we go. Feel the fans. Feel the fans.
We love you. We love you.
It's blowing her hair. See, she's so fun. It's blowing her hair all around. Oh my God. All right, Cristi.
You guys are the best. Thank you so much.
Great.
I think that's the best welcome I've had to any interview I've ever done.
Oh yes, we're doing it, and I'm just going to do a little fangirling here. A little fangirling. This is the amazing book that Cristi wrote, which it was a complete labor of love. She's one of my dearest friends. I'm hoping I'm one of her dearest friends. And I was with her during the birth of her baby, and really love it.
You're in the book.
Yeah, I'm in the book. Chapter
your brilliance is in
third
the book.
Chakra in here because fire. Stoke your creative fire. All right, Joy. Let's.
Oh yes, we're gonna do it
professionally.
We're going to talk about Cristi Christensen, what you're bringing to the world, what you are all about. Cristi is an author, teacher, and global wellness leader on a mission to shake up the planet. After an injury ended her dreams of Olympic gold, Cristi shifted her focus to helping others heal. Today, she leads workshops, trainings, and retreats with a unique blend of yoga, dance, meditation, live music, and inspiration in over 20 countries around the globe. With more than 2 decades of experience in helping students transform their lives, Cristi has become a leading global voice for women's awakening and liberation. Chakra Rituals is her first book.
Woo-hoo!
Here we go. How does that feel?
How's that feel to hear that about yourself?
It's so weird. I'm like, who is she talking about?
Yeah, but it's true. It's amazing. You are an amazing human.
It is all true, but it's different when you're living it versus when you see it on paper that way or hear it that way, right? And because it's just been what I've been lucky enough to do and do as my life's work up to this point in time.
I remember when I first met you, so I'm gonna tell everybody a story. So I'm like teaching at Kripalu, and this like amazing like red flash of movement goes by, and I'm like, what was that? Who is that? And she's like, this like explosion of movement wearing this red outfit. I remember it was the red, and I was like, oh my God. So later, and then she has this massive hair, but she had like been putting it up in this thing, so it was up, and then I see her later and like it's down, and I'm like, is that the same one? And then she's like, your class was really great. And then we just hit it off, and we started hanging out, and she stayed for like 10 days or something and did all these workshops with us, and then came to Mexico, and then oh my God. And now I just want to say, like, I admire you so much because you're so dedicated to what you do. You're so dedicated to the practice, yoga, creativity. I mean, the chakras are such a creative platform that you chose to really dig into, and all the rituals that you added are just, it's an amazing book. So let's talk a bit. Tell us, like, how do you feel that you've created this life? One last thing. I remember I when we were in Mexico one time, I took a taxi with her, and I was like, come on, tell me your story. Like, how did you end up becoming this like yoga, model yoga, like incredible, like where does this come from? And then she told me about her Olympic history, where she had trained for the Olympics for years and years. And it really was an incredible story. So it's in the book. I'm not going to tell it to you. You have to read it. Okay.
You have to read it. So what was the question?
How do you embrace creativity in your life? Like, you are so creative. You've made this incredible career, out of the things you're most passionate about.
Well, it's such an interesting question and journey, because I was that person who did not think I was creative for the first 25 years of my life.
I remember the story. Oh my God.
Yeah, I say I've been in creative recovery.
Perfect.
Since I realized that that's what it is, because now what I've learned is that, creativity isn't what we do, it's who we are. Right? Creativity is not what we do. It is who we are. It is our birthright. Right? And one of my teachers, the great mystical teacher, Carolyn Myss, she talks about creativity synonymous with, like she said, the word creativity is synonymous with life force energy. That creativity is the essential essence of life, right? And then if we look at it through the chakra perspective, we actually get to see thought flow into form. And
Yes.
it's, incredible. But as a very young girl, I defined creativity through the lens of how my mother defined creativity, which was being an
remember the
artist.
story.
Yeah,
Hold on
being
just one
able
second.
to
This
draw.
story, everybody listen carefully, because this could be you too. And everyone who's listening right now, I remember when you told this to me and I almost cried, because I was like, wow, this is like so intense. But I remember that kind of feeling that anybody could have at any moment, where perfectionism set in and shut someone down. Please tell them the story. This is an intense story.
Yeah. So, my lens of being a creative person was based on, you can do art, you could draw, you can paint, you could sculpt, you could sing, you could write music. That was my definition of creativity. And I was a very young girl. I was in either kindergarten or first grade. I'm not 100% sure. And we had our first book report we had to do for school. And my book was Ernie's Big Mess, because I was a big Sesame Street fan. And we had to write a 1-page report, and we had to make a cover. So the cover was like the part that I was the most excited about, because I guess I remember that excitement. So I must have really enjoyed coloring and drawing and those things as a little girl. And so I drew this cover. I had brown construction paper and red markers and, crayons. And I thought I created a masterpiece.
And I'm sure you did.
I wish I still had it.
Oh my God.
I went and I remember so proudly prancing over to my mom to be like, Mom, look, my first book report, look what I did. And she looked at it, and she didn't look at it in a shaming way, but she looked at it, she just goes, let me help you with that. So I'm like, great, she's going to help me with it. So her help turned into her actually throwing away what I did and replicating the effing cover of the book. That, and it was so good that it literally rivaled the color of the cover of the book. My mom is,
oh my goodness,
a natural, she paints for a hobby. She's a natural artist in the way of drawing and painting. And so I just saw it, and I remember just thinking, wow, that's really good. And I remember for the first time having the notion, registering, oh, I'm not good at this, right? Maybe, but not in it was just like, oh, I'm not good at this, maybe I shouldn't do this kind of thing.
Right.
Bring it to school, show it to the teacher shows it to the whole class, and I am deemed the savant artist. And I didn't do it, so then I had this thing, this fracture inside of me of
no.
do I say my mom did? So I had to pretend I was this artist. And at that time that I was growing up, art was being cut from school. So I didn't have in-person art classes. A lot of our art was things that we had to take home and do. Well, that worked out really well, because everything I brought home, and guess who did it? My mother did every single art project for me through the fourth grade. Okay.
Wow.
And at that point I stopped doodling. I used to draw houses, and I used to draw just doodle spirals and this and that. I stopped all of that, because I was like, oh, I'm not good at that. I'm going to do gymnastics. That's what I'm good at, and then I make it to the 5th grade, and we're doing an in-person class, activity. And each group, the class is set up in different groups, and each group is responsible for one thing. So of course the class unanimously votes for me to do the big drawing for the project in class.
Oh my God. Did you cry? I would have cried. I would have cried personally.
I went to the bathroom and hid. I literally didn't know what to do. I literally was about to throw up. I was like, oh my God, everyone's going to know this is a lie, and it's not me. And and because I also stopped drawing, I never developed any more skill there. I would have had no idea what to do. And then how would I have admitted it to these people that were my peers and my friends? And
oh my goodness.
So I went to the bathroom, and I stayed in there. To the point I stayed
I'm
so
sorry,
long.
I'm laughing. It's such a painful.
Yeah, no, it's so crazy. And I think of it because my nephew now is the age I was when this happened. And I'm looking at him, and he's such a baby. And I can't even imagine anyone telling him not to do anything. This is the age where you're supposed to be exploring everything, right?
Right. Oh, and totally.
After being in there for so long, the teacher sent one of the students to come check on me, and I lied, and I said I threw up. So I got sent home from school. Okay.
Wow.
So that was me like
All right,
narrating.
made it through fifth grade. Whew.
I made it, and then there's no more art projects really in school, right? So I made it, but again, that whole, I'm not, like, I would say the words, I am not creative, I am not an artist, like that is not who I am. That those are not my gifts, you know, those
That's
are
like
somebody
the
else's gifts.
opposite
Like,
of the truth of you, is that you're like unbelievably creative, and whether it's through the I mean, who knows what artistry could have emerged from you if, you know, no offense to your mom, not trying to be rude, but I've seen mothers do things like, I remember watching this video of a small child saying like, look, I'm here's the pizza slice and it's round, and the parent goes, no, it's supposed to be triangular, and I'm like, no, don't do that to your kid, just let him have a round pizza slice, so let him have whatever pizza slice they want. You can educate them later on what's right and wrong. Oh my goodness, that's really painful. So I just want to honor your story. And
and if we go back to that like definition of, if creativity is synonymous with life force energy or the essential essence of life, that whole essence was completely shut down inside me. And I think probably I struggled more in different areas with depression or not being enough and all these things, because there was this huge part of my life force energy that was completely on lockdown, blocked, and wasn't accessible whatsoever. And it truly wasn't. It was actually through movement that I started to know that I was creative, like through my yoga practice, through my dance practice, through then it was actually, I could kind of sense it, like I was a moving artist in a way, but like I was like, oh no, you're not. Like that voice was like, oh no, you're not, you know, was still there. But something shifted when I started teaching these things, that I could see the artistry and the sequences I put together. And no, I didn't create the music or sing the music that was being used in the class, but I did curate a playlist in a way to really support the unfolding of the experience. Absolutely. And then I could start to see that as creative. I could start to see words that I chose artistry to articulate, right? The words that I choose, the metaphors, the poetry, the stories of, you know, I have the affinity for the, you know, the Hindu teachings of the goddesses, and being able to, you know, weave those stories into a movement experience. And that, so for me, that shift really started happening when I went out of like the black and white, I'm going to call, of like almost more the masculine dominant energy of like logic and reason. And through the movement, I was able to move more into the feminine and start to access and free up that stagnant energy, melt those wounds and blocks a bit, and to be able to expand my definition of what creativity is, to be this, not what we do, but who we are. Absolutely. And that actually, through those years, it didn't happen overnight, like through these years, and I'm still in creative recovery. I mean, because it's still my edge in many ways. But if we fast forwarded to, I'm in my 30s, and I think without the teaching of the yoga and the dance and all of the movement, that gave me the bravery, that gave me the confidence, that gave me that even if I created something horrible or ugly, that wasn't because I was it wasn't based on my self-esteem wasn't at stake, you know, around it, right? That I could just be a beginner at something, because that was the other real lesson I learned, or I thought I learned as a kid, is I wasn't allowed to be a beginner at anything. Like if you weren't good at something, you don't do it.
And you really were, let's be honest, you were good at some things. I mean, you went to the Olympics. I mean, you could have gone for gymnastics, but you went for diving. I mean, I know your story.
I was training for a very young age. Yeah. And so it was all
you
about
are
perfection.
like,
there was no room for.
Right. You understand that what that's like.
Yeah.
So I'm just, and your book though is so creative. I know you even said you want it to be colorful and beautiful, and it's got, it's amazing just to look at it. It's kind of like it's like a fancy, you know, version of a book. It's much fancier than anything. She even has like all the, she's wearing like the colors in each sequence. It's just so great. I was like, you got an orange outfit. How'd you do that? Yellow.
I needed full sensory experience. Come on.
Yes. So you are so creative, but it's like, you know, and I understand that visual art is one of those places where I think people get the most shut down, only because it's so public. Like, I mean, you can see it on the paper. Like if I sing off note, I can go like, now I'm going to sing a different note, and I could just change my note. If I'm dancing, I could just catch myself and do a different move. So like something about visual art seems the hardest, but we did interview Aviva Gold, who talks about like the primal nature of color and paint, and how you got the color, you ended up getting the color, even if you didn't, get the painting. But maybe someday you'll go and we'll do a workshop with Aviva Gold, and all of us will paint together.
Oh my God, that would be
And
amazing.
dance.
Because the end of this long ass story is I got to re-meet that 10-year-old Cristi that faked being sick to go to the bathroom in my mid-30s, when my best friend decided he was having a birthday party to celebrate his new apartment also, and the party was going to be an art party, and we were going to paint the canvases that were going to be hung up on the walls of his apartment.
Nervous system overload. Alert.
Nightmare. I did everything to sabotage this idea.
I
was like, Justin, this is not a good idea. Like, what if people paint stuff you don't like? And then what, you're going to have to hang it on the walls, or you're going to take it down, and then they come over, you put it back up. And, I was like, it's going to be a mess. What if people knock over the paint and like they ruin the new carpet? Like, I came up with every reason of why, because he didn't know this story,
Wow.
And I was like, he's my best friend. I can't not go to the party, and I can't not paint. Like, and I was like inside, like sweating, and my heart was like, I had so much anxiety and so much shame, like so much shame that I couldn't do something, and I honestly thought like I was going to ruin it. And it felt like, I know this might sound crazy to some people, but like I almost felt like I could die even if I tried, And so I finally had to tell him the story, because otherwise there was no way. So I did tell him the story, and he was like, look, if we don't like it, we'll paint over it. Not a big deal, And luckily they had all these like sponges and, different tools where you could just go with the paint, or you could like lick it and do that. So it was like
body painting.
Yes.
It was like one step up from body painting or finger painting, really.
Excellent.
And it was so healing. It was so healing. And I think that was the first time, like the first real time that all these things I'd been studying about, that creativity is the life force energy, that there are these blocks, that I actually felt it in my body. And I felt like even facing that fear, and then that fear dissolved, and how much energy that freed up in my body. And to continue to make myself do it is super challenging, but it's so healing. And I find out I recapture a piece of me that I lost many, many years ago.
In that moment, and it sounds like you tapped into presence in a way that you really were able to hone in on that life force energy and be present with it, not about the past, not about the future. And I feel like a lot of what you're talking about, all the modalities that you have explored with, are about that present moment and being with that essence.
Something I want to add. This is real for anyone who's watching. I think this is a really amazing story, because so of course your mother, her best of intentions were that, you were going to make this beautiful piece of art. That's how it started, right? And then she enjoyed it, because she probably loved hanging out with you, honestly, and doing, what are we going to draw today? Like, I know I loved hanging out with my kids when they were small, and I would love to, help them with whatever their projects were. I'm sure her intentions were good. I don't think she realized kind of like, and this is just about shame, because I know when I was like I think in 6th grade, I was still like considered like I had a good voice for chorus. I still was like in the good chorus part. I got like to be one of these people on this top doing this little up and away in my beautiful balloon. It was really silly, I remember it from 6th grade. But then by like 8th or 9th grade, they start like weeding out like who's really good, who's just okay, who can carry a tune but isn't the star, and they'd like weed you out until like then it became, my best friend was the star. She has absolutely amazing voice, incredible performer, got every starring role in every single drama thing that was happening from 8th grade all the way through high school. And I never auditioned ever. Didn't even bother, because I shut myself down. And I'm such a theater person. And I just shut myself down. I was like, I'm not going to do it. And then I would feel terribly terrified. Like, I think you've heard me sing, right? We've joked around about it. For the first 5 years that I even sang, I would just shake and sweat, because the fear response creates this thing inside of our body that, and the shame that is almost, it's literally like beyond our mental control. It is not something that we can control. Well, we can control it with our mind now because we've learned how to take these techniques and meditate our way out of, and, you know, feel our way through shame and fear and all these things. But like, I just want everyone who's listening today to know that, like, you know, everybody has different areas where they're going to excel and be seen, and areas that they may never have tried because of fear or shame of not being good enough. And isn't that sad? Like, all this creative life force opened up when you decided to paint that painting, and it's probably still
Yeah.
up on that wall somewhere, right? And like, I went to do open mic or did karaoke even, you know, it was so terrifying. And years later, I did karaoke with that same woman I'm telling you the story about, and we sang together, and it was the most healing moment I've had since I was like in 8th grade. You know, and these things, like,
Wow.
yeah, we retain them in our bodies. I've really been working a lot with shame right now, and I think the creativity is one of my greatest healing attributes, that I can make a joke about something. I can do comedy. I can make something, like, I can make a joke out of myself. I have a character, and like, I can write a song about my pain instead of like sitting in the pain. It's kind of like externalizing it in a positive way. Anyway, that's just what I wanted. You just made me think of all that, because that story is really intense, and I'm sure tons of people can relate to that story.
Yeah, I mean, we're all shut down, and whether it's been that one comment of like, oh, that wasn't good enough, or this or that, like we all, or your voice wasn't this. We all have our moments where we stop believing, what we had was a gift to the world. And there's something else that another teacher who has really helped me. I've never met her personally, but Julia Cameron, who she wrote the book The
Oh,
Artist's
yes.
Way, and
Mhm.
has inspired millions of people through creative recovery. But
Yes.
one of the things she does talk about is that like your creativity is the gift, your gift from God, and what you create is your gift back, or to the divine,
Yes.
wherever your word is. And that,
Mm.
again, that sense of like, we are born to create, that everything we do is an act of creation. And seeing that as from the way we all did our hair today, to the clothes we put on, the earrings, or anything, what our, like your background with the sparkles in it, like all of this
Yes.
is
Choices.
an act of create. Like we can't stop creating,
And Joy made that
right?
background for us. Joy, will you share your
Ah, the
story?
stoke the fire.
Joy, would you mind sharing? Because I know some of your stories. Would you share your story? Because I know you can relate to both of our
Oh,
stories.
yeah. I mean, I feel I can drop right in with the shutting down. I have a very similar story of when I was probably preteen, something like that. My mother is an amazing vocalist, and she did begin singing, and she loved opera. She became a gospel singer, and is very talented. In her early years, and so growing up with such an amazing voice in the house, I got used to excellence. And when I tried to sing, and I asked my mother to help me and open up my voice and everything, and I started to work with her. Even me telling you now, I can feel my body going into that
Right?
place,
It's
telling the
exactly.
story. I remember,
Yeah.
and she just said, she used this one phrase: "Joy, I cannot work with you." That was it.
Ooh, right.
What?
I can't work with you. Nope. And it was the way, I'm in the place. And it just shut me down. I just didn't have tone. I couldn't do all the things, and she just
Oh my
was,
God. And
it
that voice of
shut
gold that pours out
down.
of your mouth now.
No,
And
your
I didn't
voice
think
is the
I could
most insane
sing.
voice I've ever heard.
And I didn't think I could sing for years. Even people could tell
Wow.
me. I'd be in the choir, I'd be at church, I'd be at school, whatever, whatever, whatever. But it didn't matter because the voice in my head was, "You can't sing. No, you can't do this." And with that, now I'm able to go into a place of understanding that I have a voice. But it took me so
Whew.
many years. It was in a place of being held by other people that were completely a witness to that and helped blossom that. And the other side of that, though, and this is the part that I want to really get to, is
Ooh, interesting. I know where you're going, I think.
that didn't quite happen that way for her on the other side.
Oh,
Mm.
interesting.
And we have revisited that conversation in the last few years, and she was just completely in a different space, and she had her own reality going on,
Mm.
and she attacked me in that way out of stress. And but that one moment changed my entire life course for how many years, and we can now
One
revisit
little
that
Ernie,
one little
Ernie's
moment,
garbage
Big
picture.
mess.
Uh-oh.
one little moment.
Uh-oh.
And
Let's not shut down our kids, everyone. Let's
let's
all make a
not, yeah,
commitment
Yeah.
I know.
now. Let's not shut down our
Yes.
kids, or don't shut down your kids' kids, et cetera, et cetera.
So just
Because
a
we
little
don't, and
divergent story there,
but it's great. This is about the life force of creativity. I remember when
yeah.
I heard you sing, Joy, for the first time, my jaw dropped, and I was like, will you please sing? Like, can you take the mic right now and can you sing?
Yeah,
And you were like, oh,
woo!
okay. And I'm like, what? Like, yeah, now it's a different world. Now you're like, give me the mic.
Yeah, I love to
I
sing
love
now,
it.
and
I love it.
Right? It's a big difference.
and my
Oh
mom
yeah.
is very proud of me for singing now, and we had to cross that. But the point is that I think that there is the creative force in us keeps going, but it is so you have to be delicate with it. It is the shutting
Yeah.
the down and then the revisiting it and how you heal through it. Who knows how
Mhm.
you're going to heal through it?
Yes.
But the
And
expression,
yeah. And for me, when I'm pushing that edge, like in those moments where there's something I really don't want to do, but I know, or I'm terrified, but I know that this is another breakthrough point.
Mhm.
Um, it's like I just have to remember, oh, this is the 10-year-old Christy. Like that's
Right.
why it's so terrifying. But so I have to be so, like imagine. So for me, it's easy because now I have nieces and nephews. I don't have children of my own, but so I imagine them, and I like when I see them now at these ages that I had these experiences, I am just like I was a baby,
Yes.
But that helps me like have so much more compassion and
yes.
Mhm.
tenderness and kindness and love for myself,
Mhm. Mm.
and has me stunted at that like that's where this is in me, so I am nurturing this at that age, and maybe now she's 12.
Well, somebody wrote this
And
book because
but there's that's the cool thing though about what I can see now, creativity as this like huge web, and there's this whole part of the web that for me that's still like black, and I want it to turn to color, and wake up my
mm,
voice in different ways, and be able to express through art, just to play, not because I'm going to be a famous artist, or you know
Yes. I
I
love
like to
that.
collage, like just
you
doing things
create
that are creative.
beauty. You
And then
create,
yeah, and
yeah,
then
you
there's
create
another.
beauty everywhere you go. You just create. I mean,
Oh,
this book is beautiful. Like,
thank you.
I look at it and I'm like, each goddess, there's all these amazing drawings and there's all the gorgeous postures, and like everything about it is it's so connected. It's like one piece of art. It really is.
Thank you. Thank
Don't
you.
you feel that way
Thank
when
you. I
you look at it?
appreciate
I
it.
mean, look at it like this, this is one of the many. This is not, Christy, got an artist,
Yeah,
painted this.
I'm not the illustrator. I worked with through what I wrote about each goddess, and through conversations with her. She brought to life these images, and I would say, oh, I like this. So I kind of
Right,
like
but
art
this is
directed
art
her.
too, though. Like the
Oh,
beauty
Mm,
thank you.
of the way you move your
body
body.
art. Yes.
You really are
Thank
a
you.
body art.
Yes.
You are a body artist.
Thank
I've seen you dance. I've seen you jump in the air and make shapes that are
you.
unbelievable to
Thank
me. I've
you.
seen you
Thank
leap
you.
and
I can
fly
own
and turn
that.
and spin. Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I've seen
Yeah.
you do yoga and teach yoga and just be so present and so full of fire. So where do you get your passion
Mhm.
from?
Oh my gosh. I mean, it's so wild because like my passion comes through my practice. I mean, I'm very lucky. I even though I've gone through a lot, I've always had tremendous zest for life. Like I feel like zest is the
Mm,
word.
I
I've
love that
always had
word.
this zest for life, and I still have a very childlike, hopefully childlike and not childish nature about myself. And I think, really learning. And this is something about Capricorns. I don't know if you've heard this, Tony, but an astrologer that I worked with many years ago talked about that sometimes Capricorns they're older when they're younger. And as they age, they become younger and younger.
mm.
That makes total
And
sense to me.
yeah,
Here I was
right.
worried
So
about why I was being so childlike.
so I that's definitely part of it, but you know the fact that I have this anchor of my of yoga.
Mm.
So much of my passion comes from everything that I put under this umbrella of yoga,
Mm-hmm.
and that is um, obviously movement, that is music, that is breath, that is deeper understanding and connection with the universe, with
Yes.
divine grace,
Yes.
with connecting more deeply to nature.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, you go out into go into nature and you stand on top of a mountain, or you go in the ocean and you feel the power
Yes.
of create. Let's talk about creation. You feel the power of creation instantly, and the remembrance that you're a part of that creation. Um, and then, I mean, the power of music. You hear a song,
Oh
and
yeah.
it changes everything, right? It might bring you to jumping up and down, shaking your booty, or it might, bring you to tears. And my passions come from all of this. I have a zest and a thirst for life, and a thirst and zest for learning and wanting to be of service,
Mm.
which then leads
Mm.
me to, I think, my truest passion is teaching.
Will you
I,
speak to us about that? Like, so what have you found the most? I'm just going to go totally for it because it's you
yeah,
and me. What's the most
yeah.
common sort of, let's say it could be emotional, physical, whatever the pain, um, the block, the stuck, like what's the most common recurring thing that you think you're helping, that you feel that you're helping people with and overcome?
I mean, I think there's a few different main themes. I think the first theme is helping people get connected back to their bodies.
Hmm. Thank you
Like
very
get
much. We need more and
connected.
more of that.
Yeah, you know, and coming home to the body in a way that I feel comfortable in my own skin. Because
Mm.
if we're not connected to the body, we can't hold all the emotions. We can't hold all the other life experiences in the same way. And that's why we get taken
Mm.
down
Mm.
so easily, or or why we separate and live
Yes,
only up here, right? So I
absolutely.
think that that's why I say I'm on a mission to shake up the world, because I really do think through what brings you into your body quicker than shaking, like
Right.
starting to just feel, like, shake your body. I can feel what's happening in my hands. I can feel what's happening in my feet. I can feel this energy that has been on lockdown. I don't even have to identify what it's been, right? That's been stagnant, that's been stuck,
Mhm.
that's been repressed. And then
Absolutely.
once that moves, and then I can, oh, that's me. Then I can come back in touch with actually who I am, beyond
Mm.
the story, beyond the anxiety, beyond the stress, beyond the trauma, and be like, wow, that feels amazing. And I can remember that
Yes.
I'm powerful. I can remember that I'm creative. I can remember that I am loved. And like, that's the lived experience versus just saying the affirmation, looking at yourself in the mirror every day, which I'm not saying affirmations in the mirror are bad. They're amazing. But if you only keep them in the mind, they're
Right.
only
Absolutely.
going to help so much. We have to bring it in to feel into this. We've got to ground into this. We got
Mm.
to move into this so we can
Absolutely.
access everything else. So,
Mm.
um, I really think it's getting people in their body and then helping them unlock their power. And that can look different for
Hmm.
different people, right? For some people, it's their confidence, it's their courage, it's that rah. And some people, it's that ooey gooey, like, scent, like, they've lived in their masculine their whole life, and they've been shut down for whatever reason. They're feminine, and like being able to soften
Mm.
and permission to just feel good and touch yourself and all of that.
We are so
And then it
dancing
all
the
comes from
same
the heart.
dance. We are.
I
We're
know.
dancing that same dance.
I
I
know.
am
I
with
know.
you
I know.
2000%.
Yeah.
And all the different experiences being allowed to be
Yeah.
felt and just
And
expressed and held
and
space for and embraced and then integrated in whatever way is possible.
and being who you, like, that's your, I mean, your biggest creation, your biggest gift to the divine is you being in that harmony, that frequency that is you,
Mm. Hmm.
Mm.
right? And
I
and
love that.
finding
That is
that
so beautiful.
permission.
Yeah.
You are
Yeah.
the creation.
Hmm.
You
You
are
are
the
the creation.
creation. You're
Yeah.
creating yourself every minute, and it's totally true.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you could create yourself in a completely different way. You just make a decision. You know, today is the day that I am going to be absolutely loving to myself, or today's the day I'm going to not judge anybody else anymore. It does not matter anything. You can literally make these decisions and experiment with them. Do they work? That's
Yeah.
creativity. It takes a lot of awareness, you know, but there's so many ways of being creative. I was going to ask you one other thing about your book before we close the interview
Yeah.
today. So your book is, what I love about it is that it's not just a chakra book, it's chakra rituals. And rituals to me are one of the most creative things, whether they're little or
Yeah.
big. You know, putting rose petals in your bathtub, you know, that's creative and it makes you feel good. Or, you know, doing some, you know, ceremony, which we
Yeah.
often do in JourneyDance and in your work as well. Do you want to share one of your favorite rituals with everybody that they could just, if you were going to say to everybody, okay, you know, I would love you to go out there and be creative. Here's a way. I mean, anything, or your favorite one just to wake up passion or whatever. You tell us.
Oh goodness, that just put me on the spot.
Well, you're all
My
right.
Yeah,
Take your
yeah, yeah, yeah,
time.
yeah. No, no, no. My, so to me, ritual is anything in which, you do from the space of the heart, right? You do it with devotion, you do it with purpose, not that's how ritual is different to me than
Mhm.
routine, right? Like
Yes.
brushing my teeth isn't so much of a ritual, it's a routine. So when you bring, that element of heart, and even though I share many, many rituals in the book, like the most powerful ones come from the ones that hold like that true meaning to you. So this is the simplest ritual, but a day doesn't go by that I don't do this. So I'm
Oh, please
gonna
share it with
share it,
us.
even though you might think it's a cop out. But a day does not go by that I do not light a candle.
Oh,
That's normally the very first thing I do in the morning. And
so
I like
beautiful.
matches. I versus a lighter because I like
Mm.
I'm a very sensory
Yes,
person, so I
striking.
like the sound of and I like the long matches, because you hear that, so it's
Yep.
like that striking the
Stoke your
match
creative
against,
fire,
yeah,
baby.
exactly right, against the hard surface, and even just the seeing that first spark, that first light, to me
Mm.
it reminds me of the divine spark that's in me, and then
Yes.
I
I love
use
that.
that to light something else,
I have my candle
and
right here.
I set a prayer or an intention. So it might be, what I've really been working with lately is gratitude. So I
Mm.
start normally of like, okay, like what it like for real, like in this moment, what is super present? What am I grateful for?
Right.
And
Mhm.
saying that, and then bringing forth some energy of what's going to support me today. So whether that
Mm.
is like, I need patience today, or I need compassion, or please, I need help
Mm.
shifting this negative thought pattern, or I'm going to have this difficult whatever it is, but be specific, like name what you need, like
What a
say it out
beautiful
loud,
prayer.
name
Mm-hmm.
what you need. And if you're someone who likes I also like to burn things, just make sure whatever you're burning is sustainably sourced, whether it's sage or palo santo or pinyon, or if you prefer essential oils. And for me, again, I like the smoke. It's something about the smell, arousal of the smell, and seeing of the smoke. And it also brings in the elements of the air and the,
Yes.
the fire together. And, you know, and literally, if all I have time for is a 2-minute thing in the morning, this is what I do. And it does
Mm.
100% attune me for the day. And, maybe the prayer is just, divine, use me as an instrument of your creativity,
Mm.
Yes, I
that
love
can be
that.
of
That
your
that was my prayer
highest,
for many
you know?
years. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Many years I did. I am a vehicle. Please use me, because I did
yeah,
not know what I wanted to
exactly.
do with my
Yeah,
life.
yeah. No, and then you just wait and see. And then the second part of it, everybody's, you have to wait and then see what shows up and pay attention when it shows up,
Yeah.
you know?
So
Write it
beautiful.
down when it shows up. And, we can give anything meaning. We can make
Mm.
anything a ritual, um, and it and,
Now
and
you're
and
making me
find your
think.
own way to do it.
I want to play the song "Me and My Toothbrush" whenever I'm going to go into the bathroom. I want to put disco ball in the
Ah.
bathroom and then do like a toothbrushing ritual. Now you made me think of
See,
that.
there you go. Exactly, right?
Joy
I
gave me
so
that
sometimes
song, "Me and My
you can
Toothbrush."
you
It's a
can
great
like do
song.
hip circles while you brush your
It's
teeth
a
or
funk
something.
Oh.
song. and say like, I'm shining up my teeth so that I can smile all day long. And I don't know, you could really have fun with it. We're ritual creators, baby.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you so much, Cristi, for being with us. And everybody, Cristi's gonna have a link to some free gift that she's going to be giving, and we'll put her book link on our page as well, so you can grab this. And we just want to say thank you for being with us, and
thank you so
helping
much
people
for telling your stories.
Yes,
thanks for holding the space for me to do so, and thank you for putting on this summit. I can't wait to see all the other interviews, because I know so many powerful tidbits, and so many, just the power of hearing other people's stories, and how they can help us heal and transform.
Oh, you're gonna love it.
So important.
Well, thank you for that deep story that you shared. I mean, that was a big one. I know you have many other stories, but that's for another interview. We're going to do another summit
day
on the body, and we'll have Cristi back to talk about the body and other things.
Be honored to.
Thank you so much. We close. Are you ready, Joy?
Okay.
All right, we're going to do a moi all together. Thank you for being with us today on the Stoke Your Creative Fire Summit. Here we go.
Woo!
Hey,
love her.
She's an amazing human being. So my biggest takeaway from that was actually much more about the story that she told about parenting, and about creativity, and about how sometimes we have parts of us that are so creative that we've never tapped into because we didn't even give it a try because we were shut down, or we were told we weren't good enough, like your story. And we need to rewrite these messages and get creative, because really, I love that line about, if the universe gave you this gift of life, now you got to give back creativity, from Julia Cameron. I love that.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. And the fact that you just talked about, really the heart of creativity is presence and individuality of one's own essence.
I love that.
Get into that. I think that was really, hearing that again, and seeing that weave through the summit is about expression and just being able to have that birthright. She brought in some powerful quotes. And
I love the thing you just said about every interview we've had has, like, every person who's come on has done some serious healing through their own creativity. Like, it's kind of amazing. I guess now we're starting to reframe what creativity really means.
Yes.
It means, the act of being you.
Absolutely.
She said that. All right. Love you so much. Thank you, everybody, for watching these beautiful Stoke Your Creative Fire interviews. Joy and I have an amazing project we're going to announce coming down the lane, and we'll be in touch soon. Here we go.
Mwah. See you next time.